Good morning. Today is Mormon Chapter 9, verses 1 through 12. And 9 is broken up over the next 3 days. So what's happening in these first couple of verses is he's just talking to those who are going to deny the revelations of God. It's a scary couple of verses, but only if you deny the truth. So, but still, it's a scary couple of verses. So basically, he counsels his readers to turn ye unto the Lord and cease denying the revelations of God. God is an unchanging God of miracles, and miracles only cease through the unbelief of the people. And then he starts to talk about the fall of Adam. So 12 is the transition, really, where he stops talking about that, and then he starts talking about Adam and the fall. And so 12 kind of belongs more with 13, so I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. But there's just two little things in here. Like I said, this week they're going to be short. So in verse 6 it says, turn ye unto the Lord. And he says, Moroni gives the only solution to the insufferably harrowing experience of being brought before God polluted with sin and guilt. Turn to God in mighty prayer and be cleansed by the blood of the Lamb. The design of God is for his children to apply gospel principles in faith and virtue, and thus be sanctified before him, having overcome the flesh through the atonement of the Lamb, and having been rendered worthy of eternal blessings. Basic, And then in verse 7 through 9, it says, I speak unto you who deny the revelations of God. He that denieth these things knoweth not the gospel of Christ. Moroni is at this very moment, early in the 5th century A.D., engaged in completing the sacred chronicles of God. He will soon consign the plates to a place of secure storage within the earth. He knows that these same records will come forth some 1400 years later by the power of God as a blessing of infinite importance to the inhabitants of the earth. Moroni is intimately involved with the marvelous work and wonder of which Isaiah spoke over a century prior to Lehi's departure from Jerusalem. Moroni knows that God is a God of revelation, and he wants his readers to understand the eternal implications of how one receives the word of God and acts upon it in the cause of salvation and exaltation. Those who accept and follow the revelations of God are on course to partake of the tree of life and enjoy the felicity of finding favor with God and preparing to return to their heavenly home of glory. Those who reject the revelations of God forego the power of the redemption and consign themselves to a state of misery. So in anything you can find comfort, and these chapters, though scary, can offer comfort in the way of, I don't deny the revelations of God, therefore I am not consigned to a state of misery. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed I won't be miserable. But in the first couple of verses, he talks about standing before God in your sin and your guilt, and can you stand it? And he talks about how you can't stand before a just God with guilt upon your shoulders. You'd be more comfortable in the fiery pits of hell. And so it just kind of, you're like, can I see myself standing before God today? Can I see myself being judged of him? Will I want to hide? Will I want to be cast down? Just like, please I don't want to stand here anymore. Just get me out of here. I can't stand it. Or will we be comfortable in his presence? I think that's something we need to ask ourselves. I need to ask myself on a daily basis. By doing this, will I feel comfortable in his presence? By not doing this, will I feel comfortable in his presence? So, that's what I got for Mormon chapter 9, verses 1 through 12. And We'll see you tomorrow.